Trial Tuesday, once again today, we're discussing motorcycle accidents and what the legal process is like for those involved. Attorney David Aylor, an easy rider, never a son of anarchy, joins us right now. And it seems like we see these cases time and time again, Counselor. But you say that they're a little trickier after they're out of the headlines. After we read those things on the news, there's kind of a legal battle that ensues.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously, particularly in the low country, we've seen over the last several months a lot of tragic accidents, several deaths actually related to these motorcycle accidents. And unfortunately, what often happens is the investigation process that follows can sometimes be either incomplete or incorrect. And when I say that, I don't mean what the police officers do within their investigation, but more some of the facts that they get on behalf of the drivers of the vehicles involved in the accident.
Yes, so what exactly happens? Let's say, God forbid, a tragic event happens. Those police investigators, they get on scene and try and recreate that incident, that accident. Most times with a motorcycle, these are deadly, of course. And then the driver's account gets taken and put it onto a police record. What happens at that point where you can sometimes get some discrepancies?
Exactly. I mean, these officers involved in these accidents actually have specific training to be able to try to recreate these accidents. However, the information they can gain from those around, whether it be witnesses or the actual people involved, is going to sometimes be limited. And when you have a driver of a motorcycle who's in critical condition or maybe is actually passed, obviously what their account is not taken in, and so you have the driver of the motor vehicle who's going to say, for instance, this motorcycle swerved into my lane,
right,
that sort of thing. And sometimes if there's not certain markings and different things on the road, it may be difficult to determine, if in fact they were at fault. And often the motorcycle rider actually ends up being the one that they find contributing to the accident, when in reality it was actually the motor vehicle.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, because it's so much more difficult to prove. I mean, I guess when you have two cars together involved in some kind of wrecks or accident, you can really piece that together. The motorcycle, if it goes over, I mean, pretty much a lot of that evidence is destroyed, and you're not going to leave that marking on the same car like you would with another automobile.
Exactly, because obviously the person on the motorcycle a lot of times is thrown from the actual motorcycle at where the collision takes place, and then the bike in itself is moved, as opposed to, like you said, with two cars, it's so much easier to tell how they hit, right, and maybe who was at fault. But for instance, if a motorcycle is traveling in one lane and someone does not look when they're getting over into that lane, then they're obviously going to say, I put my turn signal on, this bike came out of nowhere, speeding, and that's why they hit me, when in reality they probably cut the motorcyclist off, and that's what caused the accident. So it's very important if somebody has, anybody that's involved in one of these accidents, whether they're just injured or, of course, if they tragically lose their life, that their family and friends try to do everything they can to look into the investigation, because oftentimes you can, have your own investigation done, try to determine some more facts, and maybe come out where it proves, in fact, that the driver of the motorcycle was not the one at fault.
Indeed. So how do you try and dispute that, what the driver is saying in the court of law?
Well,
try and put that driver on the stand?
Well, the best thing that you can do is as early as possible. I would suggest getting with either on your own, getting with an accident reconstruction. There's some great ones here locally in town. It's very important also, if you want to try to go through a lawyer that can really start that process for you. Then again, the objective is to try to prove exactly what happened and how it happened. If they've got it marked that the motorcycle driver was actually the one contributing, then that's something you want to review. And there's a number of different things that they can look at, and then ultimately the goal would be to put the blame on who it really should be on. And unfortunately, oftentimes it's more usually the car drivers than it is the motorcyclists, because the motorcyclists are always going to most of the time be the safest people on the roads.
I was going to say, and of course, if you do choose to get on a motorcycle, of course, obey the laws of the road, be extra careful of those cars around you, and definitely, if you can, I know it's not against state law, but you should probably wear a helmet.
Well, either way, everybody needs to be safer if they can.
Indeed. Attorney David Aylor, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Do appreciate it as always. Much more Low Country Live coming up after the break. Make sure you stick around.